Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start our first class, the introduction class of this Bhagavad Gita in summary with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur-bhavaswaha Tatsavitra-varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Sarvopnishado Gavo Dogda Gopal Nandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhogata Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat. Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita is also Upanishad. Not just one Upanishad, 18 Upanishads. Those are the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Before we get into that, we got to look into it. Why do we study the text like Bhagavad Gita? We have learned a lot in life. Most of you have gone to colleges and even postgraduate studies also. You know a lot. But why now Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a textbook to lead us forward on our own journey towards spiritual growth. Other studies we did, the secular studies, they were for the material growth. This is for the spiritual growth. I'm sure you all know that Bhagavad Gita, without doubt, the widely studied scripture in the Hindu tradition. A quick comment, many people say that Bhagavad Gita is the Bible of Hinduism. That statement is actually incorrect. Let me explain why. Bible is the foundation scripture or the base scripture for the Christian tradition. Bhagavad Gita is not a foundational scripture for Hindu religion. Foundation scriptures for Hindu tradition is the Veda. It was one Veda, then it got broken down into 4 by Rishi Vyasa. Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, and Atharva Ved. So collectively they are called Vedas. So that is the technical reason why Bhagavad Gita is not a Bible for Hindu religion. But it is, however, by far the most widely studied scripture. First of all, it is in poetry. Poetry can be studied again and again. Every word of this poetry, anybody who studies it, love it. I personally love it. Every word is so important. It's not only the poetic beauty of this scripture, but it's very clear to understand also. So clarity as well as beauty of the poetry. Usually the poetry and the clarity, they don't seem to go together. If something is very clear, it looks like a manual. It's not a poetry. And if something is very poetic, it's not very clear. But Bhagavad Gita has both of these. So amazing combination, deeply poetic expression and simultaneously crystal clear spiritual wisdom in Bhagavad Gita. So this is one of the several reasons why people study this. again and again and again because of this rare combination. Another reason is that Bhagavad Gita conveys the main teachings of the Vedic rishis in a context which we can relate to. Because if you know that Vedic rishis, they lived in the jungles, in the caves, in the huts, near rivers. They were in their own world. So whatever they wrote, it's very hard for us to relate to. It's so deep. It's like an outpouring of the Vedic philosophy they wrote in those Vedic mantras. And a portion of the Vedas is the Upanishad. In fact, the Upanishads are the last part of the Vedas. Upanishads are significant because they contain the spiritual teachings. Vedas contain a lot of prayers, a lot of rituals, a lot of meditations, upasanas in all the four Vedas. So the contents of these Upanishads are not very accessible. And if they are accessible in writing, not very easy to grasp. But on the other hand, Bhagavad Gita, very easy to grasp. Very easy to grasp. See, those Vedic seers, their lives were narrowly focused on the spiritual wisdom. So that's the reason very hard to grasp. We cannot relate to the way they have written. But the exactly same teachings are taught by Lord Krishna. And that's the reason I started out with the Sarvo Upanishado Gavo, Dogda Gopalanandana. So it's Lord Krishna. He took the teachings from those Upanishads and gave it to us as a nectar. This is a nectar for a student. And you all know the Mahabharata story. I'm not going to go into it in this class, but the physical context of Bhagavad Gita is the battlefield. That's Mahabharata. Mahabharata, it's an epic, 100,000 verses long. It is the longest poem ever written so far in the history of mankind. 100,000 verses. And Bhagavad Gita is a part of it. Mahabharata epic has 18 chapters, and those chapters are called Paravs. And Bhagavad Gita is in there in the 12th chapter. And this Bhagavad Gita is the dialogue between Lord Krishna and his student and the cousin Arjuna. And that's where these teachings are from. Battle is about to begin, and this battle is between Pandavas and the Kauravas. Two sets of cousins fight over the kingdom. That is the battle. Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to drive the chariot in the middle so that he can inspect the both sides before the battle begins. That's where Bhagavad Gita starts. Battlefield. There's a lot of symbolism in Bhagavad Gita. This battlefield is also a symbolism. So many aspects of our life resemble a battlefield. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the wisdom how to go through this battlefield of our life. If you commute to work, the highway you take, it's almost like a battlefield. People are trying to cross each other, go faster than the others, reach towards the destination. Workplace also can resemble a battlefield. People are trying to move up, constantly struggling with each other. Sadly, when you come home also sometimes, it can resemble to a battlefield. So we can relate, we can draw the wisdom from Bhagavad Gita, how to handle these situations, whether on the way to work or at work or when you come home. Lord Krishna gives us a clear answer what to do. A lot of clarity is there. So idea is that there are many areas of conflict, many challenges and difficulties in life. They make our life like a battlefield. Some aspects of our life resemble like a battlefield. Remember that. So point is that in Bhagavad Gita, some spiritual teachings which were imparted by the ancient rishis, the very same teachings are presented in Bhagavad Gita in a very down-to-earth manner, in a context of our daily life. So there's so much symbolism. There's another symbolism in Bhagavad Gita. Whenever you look at any book, or most of the books, I should say, there's a chariot, the picture of chariot in front of it. The symbolism is that chariot itself is our body. The horses on the chariot are our senses. The reins which are connected on the neck of the horse or the horses, normally there are 5 horses and 5 senses. They are the mind. And the person who's holding the reins is the intellect. And the person who's the owner of the chariot in the back is the Atma, the soul. So that's a great symbolism. If the intellect is fully awake, the charioteer is awake, can keep that rein in hand, keep a good control over the horses, and horses will go where the charioteer wants the horses to go, not into the ditch. So that's how our life is. So this wisdom which is imparted through Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is going into our intellect so that we can make our decisions based upon that higher intellect. Keep the senses in control. Keep the mind pure. This is a historical battlefield. Name of the place where this battle happened is Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra. There is if you go to India, you will still find it in North India, a town, Kurukshetra. That's where this battle happened. And Kuru is the family name. There was a Kuru king. So Kuru. So in fact, it's a Kuru dynasty. Kauravas are called, that's after the Kurus, but the Pandavas, because their father's name was Pandava, so they are called Pandus. But it is both are Kurus actually. Okay, both the cousins. So land of the Kurus and the family name is Kuru. Horrendous battle took place at that land. Another symbolism I would like to bring out at this point. The Kauravas, the eldest son is Duryodhana, and the father's name is Dhritarashtra. Because Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra's words. It says Dhritarashtra Uvach. He is the one who's asking, is a charioteer, what is happening over there on the battlefield? And Dhritarashtra is a blind king. And what is the symbolism there? See, Duryodhana is the troublemaker. All his life, he tried to kill his cousins, many different ways. And Dhritarashtra, this is a Dhritarashtra's son. Dhritarashtra is blind. Symbolically, that really means representation of ignorance is blindness, darkness, ignorance. And when you are blinded towards the higher goal, the spirituality, because you are ignorant, what will happen? Your actions and your deeds will be adharmic, unrighteous. And that's what Duryodhana is. I mean, he tried to kill his cousins several times, poisoned them, drowned them, tried to burn them. I mean, there are always little arguments or little fights between the brothers, sisters, or the cousins, but nobody really kills them or try to kill them. But Duryodhana tried to kill them several times. So the father who was so ignorant, so that means blind, physically he was blind, but he was blinded because of the love for his son. He did not control the son at the right time. Did not open his spiritual eyes also. So this is called a spiritual ignorance. So due to that particular ignorance, adharam exists. Because this war is between the dharam and the adharam, righteousness and the unrighteousness. And what is the ignorance according to the spirituality? It is a veil. It is a covering. So at the soul level, there's no difference between Duryodhana and the Pandavas. Soul is all pure, but it was covered. Dhritarashtra also, he could not see it clearly. So that is another thing we will see in Bhagavad Gita. All the Hindu scriptures, that evil is not the same as adharam. Because sometimes people say this is a battle between good and bad. No, this is a battle between dharam and adharam. In Hindu religion, there's no such thing as embodiment of evil. There's no Satan or no devil. There's no shaitan. Adharam are the actions or the deeds which violate the principles of the dharma. And this is what Lord Krishna is going to tell us, what our dharma is. In a very clear way, in these 18 chapters, as a human being, what is our dharma? Swami Vivekananda also said, his famous saying, that there's no evil apart from ignorance. There's no evil. So purpose of spiritual sadhana is to remove this ignorance, this veil. And adharam will come to an end. So this is one of the symbolism which we see in Bhagavad Gita. And there are other three things which we really get from Bhagavad Gita. That's the reason we see that it transforms our life. It transforms our life because it teaches us how to purify our mind. Constantly, Lord Krishna is going to tell us chapter after chapter how to purify your mind. And then he keeps on giving us the wisdom. Then also on top of it, he says, don't just sit back and do nothing. Be efficient in your duties also. So it teaches us efficiency in action. Bhagavad Gita gives us the wisdom of that we are all one. One. We are all, there's no division in us in the real sense. Division is only our lack of knowledge. So vision of oneness is given in Bhagavad Gita. So when we contemplate upon what purity is, we'll see that he'll talk about compassion. He'll talk about humility. He will talk about forgiveness, fearlessness. All those qualities he will enumerate in several different ways. It's like a fearlessness. I mean, how we saw that in Ramayana also, Hanuman could go to Lanka fearlessly. So sometimes we have to make the decision fearlessly. And goodness of the heart also, and efficiency also. All three, even if one is missing, it doesn't work out. So out of these three, if one is missing, for example, if a person is efficient and knowledgeable, but no goodness of heart, that person is very dangerous. Like Ravan, good heart plus efficient, but not wise, will definitely suffer in life. So all these three things, combination of these we need to have in our personality. And this is what Gita teaches us. If you open a Gita, I told you it's a poetry. There are several different styles of poetry in Hindu religion. Even in Sanskrit, there are several different ways. There are mantras, those are Vedic writing, Vedic mantras. Then there are philosophies, the darshans, they are in a sutra form, like a Yog Darshan in a sutra form. And Bhagavad Gita's style of poetry is called shloka. This is just a little information I'm giving it to you. We are not going to recite the shlokas, but you should know that the style of poetry is shloka. And altogether in Bhagavad Gita, there are 700 shlokas. Okay? Most of the books have 700, but actually, technically, it's 701. 701. And divided into 18 chapters. And each chapter, the title is ends with yoga, like a bhakti yoga, karma yoga. The very first one is called a Vishad yoga. So yoga is a yogic scripture. Okay, so we'll look at all that in detail when we start out next week with each chapter. So now if you have any question, we can talk about it, because this was just a small introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So just remember, there's a symbolism also, there's a message also. It's a dialogue between a student and a teacher, the guru. In fact, they are both the same age actually. They were born around the same time, different places, but they are first cousins. Okay, so if anybody has a question, we can talk about it. You can raise hand or write down the question. So you will see that when you go through this, it can serve as a manual for daily living. Some people, you know what they do? They just open up the book wherever it opens and start reading it and get some inspiration from it. Because no matter which chapter you open, you will have some kind of a inspired words from there. Yes, Jasbir, you have a question?
Good morning, Hershey. Thank you very much. I was looking forward for this class because I think this is such nicely easy for me and easy to understand. So I was looking forward for this class. Anyhow, so my question one is, you told me that on the book, the chariot table, whatsoever it is on the top, what that symbolizes, horses are the senses. What are the reins for?
Reins are the mind.
Mind, okay. And
Yes.
what is the soul?
The soul is the person who's sitting in the back, the owner.
Okay, but you said person who is holding is the intellect.
Intellect.
Okay,
Yeah.
the sitting in the back is the soul. Okay.
Yeah, sitting in the back is the one who's owner. He's not doing anything. He's just enjoying the ride. And if the horses are not controlled by the rein and the charioteer, the owner goes into the ditch too.
Okay. And the other question I have, you already said that dharam is not the bad deed or good deed, is dharam and adharam. What is the difference between dharam and the bad?
See, dharam is, let me tell you, there's a Sanskrit saying, definition for dharam is abhyudaya nishreya siddhi sadharma.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that action which gives you peace.
Okay.
And action which gives you external prosperity also. That is dharam.
Okay.
Okay, so inner peace and outer prosperity.
Inner peace and outer prosperity. Okay.
Yeah. So that is like a definition of dharam according to the Vedas.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hershji.
Okay. All right. Yes, Nishna.
Hanji, namaste, Hershji. I wanted to find out, aapka format will be, can we read over the Gita chapter and then come to class? Ki kaise karenge aap?
Yeah. I think it's better if you read the chapter, go through it. You don't have to even read the Sanskrit part. Just go through it. Just try to understand what's in that chapter, and then I'll give you the summary over here too. Okay. So it's like in a nutshell, what that chapter is saying to us.
Hanji, acha ji, thank you.
That is the format I'm going to follow in this class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So what is the purpose of that chapter? Why is that chapter called like a first chapter? Why is it called Vishad Yoga? And what really happened there? Okay. So how can we apply it in our daily life too? Because ultimately it's not the knowledge alone which will help us. It's the application of that knowledge which will help us. How to apply that wisdom which Lord Krishna is giving it to us. Okay, so just do look at the first chapter and then we'll see how it goes. And we can always change the style also if that doesn't work. We are not that rigid, but hopefully that style will work for all of us. Yes, Jyoti.
Hershji, can you give an example of in our day-to-day life of the brains and the mind and the soul and everything interact into a situation?
See, like our senses, the eyes want to see something. There is eyes are connected with the mind. Mind should control the eyes. And then mind should be connected with the intellect. See, what is intellect doing? Intellect is deciding. See, decisive faculty is intellect. Intellect should decide, do I need to see this or not see it? So intellect should tell the mind, and mind should tell the senses. Okay, so these are like horses in our own body. So get the okay from the intellect first. Not just start, see, food is in front of me. Normally what happens, just right away, we just start eating. Intellect should tell the mind, do I need it? Is this the time to eat? Is it good for me to eat? How much to eat? And then mind should tell the senses, or going somewhere, all the decisions we make all day long. So impulsively, we should not live. Reactively, we should not live. Action we must do. See,
and then the soul just observes everything, correct?
Say
And
that
then
again.
the soul just observes everything in the back.
Soul, yeah, soul is just only observing. Soul is only giving the energy to all of it. Soul is giving the energy to the intellect, giving the energy to the mind, energy to the senses also. That's all soul is doing. But the problem is that soul goes into the ditch too. If the chariot goes into the ditch, that is the problem. But soul will not tell intellect to do or not to do. Soul is just the watcher.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Hershey,
Yes.
can I just add one thing? Maybe I'm wrong, but the intellect, yes, has to guide the mind to go to the senses. But isn't it true that the intellect is also guided by the conscience?
That conscious is not the pure conscious we are talking about.
The conscience. I mean,
Yeah, the Atma, no. Atma is just there. If you're talking about the pure conscious, the Atma doesn't guide. That's not the job of the Atma.
so the voice that we hear within, is that the intellect or the conscience?
That is just the intellect. That is like an intellect when it gets purer and purer. That's why we got to make our intellect. The reason we are saying Om Bhur Tat Suvitra Varenayam, we are saying, God, make my intellect higher and higher and higher.
Illuminate me, correct.
That's all.
Yeah.
So decisions are made only by the intellect. Okay? Because if the Atma is making the decision, Atma is the same in everybody.
So we should not use the word conscience.
Yeah, just try to understand, because this is when we translate into the Sanskrit, into the English, sometimes we just lose.
Yeah.
If you know Sanskrit, please use the Sanskrit. Try to understand it with that language. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Sujata.
Hershey, I just wanted to know, which book is this group following, or are they just following whatever
And
they have?
any book they want to follow.
Or
Doesn't
even
matter.
anything on the internet?
Yeah, I'm not prescribing any book, because most of the people, they have some kind of a Bhagavad Gita in their home.
Or they can look it up on the internet.
If they are younger kids, I would really like, this book was introduced to me by my grandson who's in the class too. The Gita for children, Rupa Pai. This is a really great book to look at if you have never studied Bhagavad Gita before. But if you have any other Bhagavad Gita, that's fine too. Okay, any Gita will do it, because we are not going through verse by verse. We're gonna go chapter by chapter. But definitely think about it. Another thing I want you to remember, the first word in Bhagavad Gita is dharma. And the last word in Bhagavad Gita, the last word, very last, you can look at it. It says mam.
Sure.
Mam means mine. Dharam means the duty. In a simple way, dharam can be said duty. My duty. So Lord Krishna explains what your duty is. Most of the times these days, we just argue about or fight for the rights. He talks about duties. If everybody did their duties properly, if my eyes did their duty, if my legs did their duty, there won't be any problem. Duty. In the society also, if the policeman did the duty, or in the home also, if the mother did the duty and the father did the duty, no problem. So Lord Krishna talks about mam dharma. So that's why I want you to understand there's no evil. Duryodhana, if you look at Mahabharata, Duryodhana did say, I know what to do, what not to do. Because he had the same teachers. All the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they went to the same teachers. They were well learned. He said, I know what to do, what not to do. But somehow, I cannot control myself. And that's why we got to learn how to control our horses. That is the very first thing, because that is the grossest thing in our body, controlling the senses. And that's what Lord Krishna is going to teach us in that Atam Sanyam Yoga chapter number 6, if you remember. You will see that very systematically Lord Krishna is going to teach us how to reach towards the ultimate goal of life. Because there are goals of life and there's an ultimate goal of life, which can be called the purpose of life. While fulfilling the goals of life, we got to move towards the purpose of life. And purpose of life is what?
To know yourself.
And all this coming and going. Go back where you came from. Merge with God. That is the purpose of life, which is called moksha. And you will see that that last chapter, the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is called moksha sannyas. Okay, so that's why in this class, I would like you to just do your homework. Have your questions, write them down, have a notebook with you, so that you will know, you will absorb, because there's not that much time to study in these classes. I mean, in detail, we are not doing it. See, this is called, Bhagavad Gita is called Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya. Brahm means the supreme absolute. So Brahm Vidya means the knowledge that leads a person to realize Brahm, the self of all. That is Brahm. There's no difference between the Brahm in here and Brahm in a cow, in a dog, in an ant. There was no difference between the Brahm in Duryodhana and in the Yudhishthira. It was same. That is Brahm Vidya we're going to learn. So the Bhagavad Gita conveys that wisdom in its entirety. There's nothing left. There's nothing beyond this. Everything is in there. Practical methods also. To me, I think it's almost like a science textbook. Because Lord Krishna will see that if he'll tell us, if you do this, you'll get this. If you don't do it, you will go there. Very clearly. At the end, I would like to tell you that aim of Bhagavad Gita, because why do we study this? Why are we going to get together every week for 1 hour? And you're going to be studying at home also, spending some time every week. Aim of Bhagavad Gita is to teach all of us how to establish equanimity, both in our personal life and in our activities in the external life. Equanimity, balance. Second thing, this will help us to develop tranquility within. So not just outside, but inside us also.
Yes.
And the third thing is, it will explain us the art and science of doing actions skillfully and selflessly. Sometimes we think that selflessly, sure, yeah, I'm not doing it for myself. I should just do it. I should not put 100% into it. No, Lord Krishna says, put 100% into it. Only then you are a yogi. Skillfully and selflessly. And I would add in there, lovingly also. Doing something lovingly. No matter what you do, whether you're cooking for your family, whether you're cleaning, whether you're teaching, whether you're studying, whether you're in your office, no matter what you're doing. Skillfully, selflessly, lovingly. That's what he's going to teach us. Okay? So anybody else?
Hershji,
Yes.
could you repeat that Sanskrit of dharma again?
Sanskrit dharma is abhyudaya. You remember?
Abhyudaya.
Abhyudaya, Nishreya. See, Abhyudaya means this external prosperity. Nishreya means internal peace.
Okay.
Siddhi sadharma. So that means perfection in both areas. That is dharma. Okay, dharma is which gives internal peace and external prosperity. Okay, this is according to our Vedas.
Abhyutaya Nishraya
Siddhi,
Siddhi
sadharma.
Sadharma.
Sadharma means that is the, sa means that, dharma means dharam. See, actually there is no, normally we say dharam means duty, but there is no equivalent English translation for dharam. Dharam is itself is such a big word. It's almost like a essays you can write on dharam word.
And Harji,
In fact, this is from Purav Mimansaha. Okay. Yes, Pramila.
When would this recording be available, Hersh?
Soon.
Soon? Okay.
Yeah. Just like other classes, it will be, sometimes today it will be available.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and Harji,
Yes, Urmi.
in which I think it's in chapter 2 that the chariot simile has been explained, right?
Yes.
249, 50, somewhere there. Since I'm not at home, I'm in Indiana. I just wanted to know where exactly so I could
Yeah.
read my brother-in-law's book.
And you know, the first time the chariot analogy was given in the Kathopanishad.
Okay.
That's why this is called essence of the Upanishads in a simplified language. I mean, you all study Upanishads with me on Thursdays. You know how hard that language is and how deep the messages are. This is a little easier to grasp, right? So that's why we are very thankful to Arjuna and Lord Krishna both. But later on, Rishi Vyas, who wrote it, yeah, another thing you got to remember, Lord Krishna did not write this. It was just a conversation between these two, Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Who wrote it? Rishi Vyas. How did he know what was happening, what was being said? In Samadhi, he was seeing what is happening. He was hearing. He was in the jungles, but he knew exactly what was happening. The same way this blind king, Dhritarashtra, wanted to know what's happening. And Sanjaya, his charioteer, both of them were sitting in the palace in Hastinapur. And Sanjaya is seeing and hearing because this power was given to him by Rishi Vyasa. In fact, Rishi Vyas is the father of Dhritarashtra. So he wanted Dhritarashtra to have the eyes so that he can see and hear. He says no, he was too afraid. When you have been walking on the path of adharam for so long, you just dare not see. You are afraid to see. So he said, no, I don't want to see. Then Rishi Vyas gave these vibhutis, this power, to the charioteer. And then he was curious. Dhritarashtra was curious what's happening. And he is the one who's asking in the very first verse of the first chapter, he's asking Sanjay, what is happening there? Tell me. And this whole dialogue actually is like a between Dhritarashtra and his charioteer Sanjay. But then it's like a conversation between a conversation between a conversation. That is the style of Mahabharata. Or other scriptures also we see that. Okay, so when you read this on your own, don't get confused, please. Don't get confused. Okay. So yes, Manju. Manju, you have a question? Unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for lovely class. So you, in summary, you said Bhagavad Gita helps us to fulfill our purpose of life,
Yes.
right? A life of equanimity, number one, and number
Yeah.
two, what did you say?
Yeah. So equanimity in the personal life and the external world.
Okay. Right.
So it's
Okay.
like this is all external in our home also, at our workplace also. We need equanimity. And the
Right.
second is tranquility within.
Right. Okay.
Mind has
Thank
to be
you.
peaceful too. And the
Yes.
third thing I said, the actions. It teaches us how to stay busy, but busy skillfully, selflessly, lovingly.
Yes. Thank you.
We are in a karam yoni as human beings. Karam yoni means we are a species who are supposed to act. We are not supposed to sit back and be lazy. That's not what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to stay active. That's how our body will stay healthy. Stay busy. Okay? But keep the mind calm. Keep the mind calm. So this is what we're going to learn from Bhagavad Gita. How to live.
Yes.
So in one sentence, if I got to say what Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us, how to develop ourselves.
Beautiful.
Self-development textbook is Bhagavad Gita. I could have said that earlier also, but then I think we had to record whole hour, right?
Right.
So
You
that's
wouldn't
why
know where to stop.
I had to give you a lot more information.
That ocean of knowledge, you, Hershey, you are. Thank you. Thank you.
It is I hope you enjoy. The people who have studied it before, you'll see that you will get a lot of value out of these summary classes also. But if anybody is interested in detail, tomorrow morning again, 10:30 to 11:30, Bhagavad Gita class. You will see that verse. We normally finish 7 to 8 verses only in that class. So it's good to, I think Padma is saying something. Padma, unmute, please. Nishtha, if you are there, I would like you to sing a bhajan.
Sorry, I was on mute. What is the title you're giving to these recordings?
Bhagavad Gita. I think Jyoti has not decided yet. So
No
we'll let you know. Yeah, I think she is still thinking about it. See, she is the one who posts on the website.
Okay.
Yes, Nishtha, would you like to sing a bhajan?
Harshi, you know, I'm out right now. So can I take a rain check?
Definitely.
If you
Next
don't
week.
mind, I'll do it in 2 weeks. Mera birthday bhi hai, so I'll do it then.
Okay, all right, great,
Okay?
great.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Hershey, I have a problem with internet since last few days. It just comes and goes and I get disconnected very often. So of course I go back and look at the videos, but I couldn't find this last Wednesday's video on the YouTube scriptural topic. I couldn't find that video. So I was wondering if
I will let you know as soon as it's up, okay?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have that problem. The whole neighborhood is having that problem. So we don't know what